Part 238. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2371. Chapter 2371, Was he not attracted to her at all? Then how can you forgive me? Do you want me to kneel on the ground and admit my mistake to you, or kneel in front of Xiao Mian and admit her mistake to her? Shenro looked at the man who was walking faster and faster without looking back at him. A layer of mist gradually gathered in his eyes. In the past, he had always cooperated with her. If he walked in front of her, he would quickly stop and wait for her. But now, does he really not care about her at all? Didn't he see that the skirt she was wearing made it easy to trip and make walking inconvenient? Zhi Li, walk slower, I can't keep up with you. Zhi Li, wait for me. I have something else to say to you. Shenro looked at the figure walking faster and faster in front of her, gritted her teeth, endured her grievance and chased after him. It's just that Gong Zili walked too fast. Shenro was wearing a long skirt and high heels again. She didn't dare to walk too fast even though she was holding the hem of the skirt, for fear of falling. But when she saw that Gong Zili was about to enter the elevator, she got off in a hurry and quickly chased after him. The high heels under her feet suddenly tilted, and she exclaimed "Ah!" and then fell straight to the ground. The floor is smooth marble. Shenro fell down and her whole body hit the ground hard. Her knees and elbows also hit the ground with a bang. She turned pale in pain, and tears fell out all at once. Everyone passing by stopped and looked at her. Soon, someone recognized her and whispered, "Isn't that Miss Shen?" "It's her. I saw the Weibo night party, and she wore this when she walked on the red carpet. Why did she fall to the ground? It looks like she fell badly. Should we go over and help her? Say goodbye, didn't you hear her calling young Master Gong just now? She must be hoping that young Master Gong will go over and help her." Young Master Gong. The group of people looked forward and saw Gong Zili standing at the elevator entrance. It is rumored that Gong Zili likes the eldest daughter of the Shen family. It is rumored that Gong Zili once said that he would not marry anyone who was not the eldest daughter of the Shen family. But now, the man who was rumored to like Shenro to death, saw Shenro fall to the ground, and just stood there and watched with an indifferent expression. He had no intention of going up to help her up. Looking at it further, Shenro probably fell hard and lay on the ground for a long time, unable to get up. The beauty's eyes were filled with tears, her face was pale, and her eyes were full of resentment and aggrievedness, which made the people watching beside her feel unbearable. A waiter walked over to help Shenro up. "Miss Shen, are you okay?" "Who knew?" Shenro pushed the person away. She pushed the waiter away and looked at the man standing motionless at the elevator entrance with tearful eyes. "Zhi Li, my legs hurt so much. I can't stand up," Shenro said pitifully. "Can you help me up?" She knew that Gong Zili was a soft-spoken man. She didn't believe it, he really had no feelings for her at all. They have known each other for so many years. Could it be that all the protection and favor he had given him were fake? Haven't he ever been attracted to her at all? She didn't believe it. Xiao Mian just saved him. Except for that night, they had no other interactions at all. He doesn't really like Xiao Mian at all. He just confused feelings with love. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2372. Chapter 2372. I knew you wouldn't ignore me. He must still have her in his heart. Zhi Li, I really feel pain. Shenro burst into tears, becoming more and more pitiful. My leg seems to be twisted and I can't move it. Shenro didn't lie either. Her legs really couldn't move. That fall just now really hurt her. So her tears were not all disguise, she was really crying. She knew that people around her were talking about her, and most of those glances were malicious. She lay on the ground in a panic, listening to the people around her pointing fingers at her. Pain, embarrassment, grievance, anger, and many other emotions came to her heart, and tears fell on her face uncontrollably. She thought that at this time, even if Gongzili was hard-hearted, he would not remain indifferent. She was taking this opportunity to test whether Gongzili really had no feelings for her at all. If he is willing to look back, if he is willing to help her up, it means that she still cares about her. Shenro raised her head and looked at him with tearful eyes. She waited for a few minutes. The slender figure who had been standing still finally walked towards her slowly. Shenro had a smile on her face. She knows it, she knows it. She knew that Gongzili still cared about her. Looking at Gongzili approaching her step by step, Shenro stretched out her hand to wipe away the tears on her face, raised her head, and said with a choked voice, "Zili, I knew you wouldn't leave me alone." Gongzili walked up to her and stopped. He did not reach out his hand to pull her as Shenro thought. His eyes fell on Shenro's pale face, and her eyes were red and swollen from crying. After a few seconds of silence, he said, "I will ask the bodyguard to take you to the hospital." After he finished saying this, he called his bodyguard. Then in Shenro's shocked eyes, she said softly, "Send Miss Shen to the hospital now and let the doctor take a good look at her." "Yes, young Master Gong." The two bodyguards walked over and helped Shenro up. "Miss Shen, let's take you to the hospital." "Get away," Shenro pushed the bodyguard away as if she suddenly collapsed. She watched with anger and disbelief as Gongzili turned around and walked towards the elevator entrance again. Her whole body couldn't help but tremble. She didn't care that there were people around her watching, and shouted to Gongzili with a livid face, "Gongzili, stop here. I want you to take me to the hospital." Miyazawuli seemed not to hear her voice and did not stop. Shenro's body was shaking even more violently. "Gongzili, stop, stop. If you don't take me to the hospital, I'll keep lying here." She completely lost her mind. She thought that he still had some feelings for her. But now, what Gongzili did was like a slap in the face. This slap was given in public. Everyone has seen how embarrassed and miserable Shenro is at the moment. She could already feel the mocking and gloating eyes around her. She also heard a lot of jeers. I think those rumors in the past were all false. If young Master Gong really liked her, how could he treat her like this? When something happened to the Shen family and the Gong family didn't help, I thought the rumors must be false. Now it seems that by it's 100% a rumor. I didn't see how much Gong Shao liked her, but I saw that she seemed to like Gong Shao. However, didn't it mean that the eldest lady of the Shen family liked Mo Yesi, the president of the Mo family? Why did she treat Gong Shao like this again? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2373. Chapter 2373, No one wants her yet. Who knows, I heard that wealthy families are in chaos. It's not unusual to like this one today and that one tomorrow. Besides, she likes Mo Yesi, but doesn't Mo Yesi already have a fiancé? She had no hope. She probably thought that she had no hope of marrying Mo Yesi, so she targeted Gongzili. Speaking of which, Gongzili's conditions were also very good, that's all. An only son who is also very handsome, it is a very good choice to marry Gongzili. Prince Gong is good. Although he has some kind of rage disorder, which is quite scary when he gets sick, he still can't stand it. Many famous Shiyuan families in Yunchinj want to marry into the Gong family and become young ladies. Those who say they don't want to marry are just eating. It's just that the grapes are sour. But, I don't think the crown prince is interested in her. She fell like that and didn't even help her. Hey, I suddenly feel that Shenro is a bit pitiful. I used to say that the eldest daughter of the Shen family is so high-ranking. Pen, but now, the second young master of the Mo family refuses to have her, and the prince of the Gong family also refuses to have her. So what if she takes over the Shen family now? No matter how beautiful she looks, she is still a pathetic person that no one wants. She didn't do it herself. I heard that the crown prince was really nice to her in the past, and she really liked her. But at that time, she only had eyes for the second young master of the Mo family, and she didn't even look at the crown prince. Now I want to turn back, but I won't be happy with it. On what terms can the crown prince wait for her without any regrets? That's true, but the crown prince was so cruel that he didn't actually help her. With so many people watching, she must have lost all face this time. The look he cast towards Shenro was filled with sympathy, gloating and sighing. How could the former eldest daughter of the Shen family have ever been in such a miserable state? Wherever she appears, she is always the one who attracts the most attention. In and outside the circle, there are countless men who have a crush on her. But people are very realistic. Since the Shen family was in trouble, the once unattainable goddess has fallen from the altar and turned into a joke that no one cares about. Even after the Shen family recovered, Shenro seemed to be prosperous again, but Jiao Mian appeared again. She was crushed by Jiao Mian in every aspect. The scenery of the past can never be restored. Especially the man she has liked for so many years has also become Jiao Mian's subordinate. She is already a loser in the eyes of others. Now looking at her lying on the ground crying pitifully, she even lost her image and tried to save Gong Zili, but Gong Zili didn't even stop for a moment, and the people around her felt even more pitiful for her. However, everyone's sympathy was mixed with a bit of schadenfreude. Especially women. Women are always the most malicious towards women. Some of the men they had liked before were Shenro's followers. Seeing Shenro's misfortune, they naturally felt happy. So what if she is the eldest lady of the Shen family? It's not like no one wants her. Shenro watched Gong Zili's figure walking further and further away, with no intention of stopping at all. Her originally pale face was so white that there was no blood at all. The lights in the hall were very bright, illuminating her pale, ghost-like face looked quite penetrating. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2374. Chapter 2374. Do you really not care about me? Her ferocious face, distorted by anger, had no trace of her usual elegance and nobility. At this time, she looked like the evil queen in fairy tales. Young Master Gong really doesn't care about her. It's too bad for Shenro. Young Master Gong left in front of so many people. She lost all her dignity. Didn't she just say that she would have been lying on the ground if the young master didn't help her up? If the young master really left, could it be that she really was lying on the ground and couldn't get up? Then she really became a joke, ha ha ha. The comments and jeers around him floated into Shenro's ears one after another. She was extremely angry and embarrassed, and her whole body was trembling uncontrollably. Gong Zili, how could he? She didn't believe it, she didn't believe it could really be so heartless. Zili, Gong Zili, Shenro looked at the figure who was about to enter the elevator and shouted again, "Stop, you can't leave me here alone. How could you do this, too much." Tears continued to flow from her eyes, making her face wet again. Her eyes were red and swollen, and she shouted angrily and sadly, "Ali, Ali, do you really not care about me?" She called out Gong Zili's nickname. In the past, no matter what she wanted to do with Gong Zili, as long as she called him by his nickname, he would agree without hesitation. But this trick doesn't seem to work. When Gong Zili heard her calling him by his nickname, his steps just paused. The surprise in Shenro's eyes could not last for 3 seconds before he walked forward again without looking back. As soon as he walked to the elevator door opened. There were several well-dressed second-generation ancestors standing inside. When they saw Gong Zili standing outside, they were stunned for a moment, then immediately walked out and greeted politely, "Young Master Gong, you are here. Our people, we are all here and waiting for you." Several people heard that Miyazawa had arrived and came downstairs to greet him. This group of people can be considered the second generation of rich people, and their families are also very wealthy. Usually, the sister-in-law who hugged, and the wind and rain. But in front of Gong Zili, they were just a bunch of younger brothers. When Miyazawa came, they all had to come out in advance to wait. Ordinary people envy wealthy families. But in wealthy families, there are also hierarchies. The Gong family, the Yan family, the Mo family, the Bai family, and the Shen family are all top-notch wealthy families, not comparable to ordinary wealthy families. Among them, the Gong family, the Bai family and the Mo family are the first, followed by the Yan family and the Shen family. When several people came out of the elevator, they felt that the air pressure on Gong Zili's body was very low. The attitudes of several people have become more and more cautious. Everyone knows that Prince Gong has had a bad temper since he was a child. Otherwise, he would not have become a famous little bully in Yunchinj. Miyazawa walked directly into the elevator without even looking at them. A few people were stunned for a moment, and then quickly followed in. Before the elevator door closed, they suddenly heard a woman's voice calling Gong Zili. Several people glanced out curiously and saw a place where many people gathered. Like something happened. Looking closely, he saw Shenro's face was pale, lying on the ground with tears on her face, and she was still calling Gong Zili's name again and again. She seemed angry, almost roaring. These second-generation ancestors have been hanging out with Gong Zili for several years. Of course I know Shenro. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2375. Chapter 2375. If you don't want to die, get out of here. It is natural that he knew how much Gong Zili had treasured Shenro in the past. A few people looked at Gong Zili, who was still indifferent, thinking that he had not seen Shenro. Someone immediately reminded him, "Young Master Gong, I seem to have seen Miss Shen fall to the ground. She is still calling your name." "Yes, Master Gong, I saw it too. Miss Shen must have been injured in a fall. I think she can't stand up. Mr. Gong, do we want to?" Gong Zili glanced at a few people with a gloomy face, and their voices suddenly stopped. They understood in an instant. Gong Zili should have seen Shenro a long time ago. But he didn't care about Shenro. What does this mean? This means that the rumor they heard before is true. The crown prince and the eldest daughter of the Shen family are really at loggerheads. Moreover, it was very tense. They all followed Miyazawa Li and met Shenro many times on various occasions before. At that time, Gong Zili was really good to Shenro. He will agree to any request Shenro makes. They have never seen the crown prince treat other women so kindly. There is only one Shenro. At that time, they still felt that Gong Zili was in love with Shenro, and they still felt unfair for Gong Zili. After all, Shenro at that time didn't even look at Gong Zili. She usually finds Gong Zili and asks him to help her with things. Either ask Gong Zili to help him ask Mo Yesi out. Miyazawa knew that she liked Mo Yesi, but he still helped her do those things. At that time, the princes in the palace were so humble in love, and they all looked aggrieved when they were humble. I want them to say that the eldest daughter of the Shen family is not bad, she has a good family background and looks good, but she is too arrogant. She doesn't even look down on them. They have long disliked her, and it was also because of Gong Zili, so even if they didn't like her, they still endured it. If Gongzili and Shenro really had a quarrel, they would definitely be happy to see it happen. Asterisk. Arrived at the box. Seeing that Gongzili was in a bad mood, several people waved their hands and called over several women with good looks and figures. Young Master Gong is in a bad mood tonight, go and have a few drinks with him. Who can make young Master Gong? If you are happy, you will be rewarded. Gongzili was sitting in a corner of the box. The light in the room was dim, and the dim light shone on his soft and handsome face. Half of his face was hidden in the shadows, and the half of his face that was exposed was almost evil looking. The air pressure on the man's body was very low and he remained silent. His whole body seemed to be emitting a cold aura that said no strangers should be allowed in. The women looked at each other for a few seconds, with some expectation and some fear in their eyes. The crown prince has a bad temper and is difficult to take care of, which is famous for Liu Guang in the Dark Knight. After being well served, he was very generous and generous. But if he doesn't serve you well, it will be terrible if he gets angry. But looking at the noble and handsome man sitting there, they were very moved. Compared to accompanying those pot-bellied bosses, they would rather accompany rich and handsome people like Gongzili. Even if he has a bad temper. The women no longer hesitated, and immediately walked over with wine in their hands. They put on extremely charming smiles and shouted in a cooing voice, "Mr. Gong, aren't you happy? Let us sisters accompany you to drink away your sorrows, is it good?" Several people walked up to Gongzili. A woman was twisting her buttocks and preparing to sit next to Gongzili when she heard a cold voice, "If you don't want to die, get out of here." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2376. Chapter 2376, This is good, I want this. Mr. Gong, you. Get out. Gongzili's eyes were full of disgust. Facing his narrow phoenix eyes full of hostility, no matter how courageous the women were, they were too frightened to do anything else. Okay, you guys come over and have a drink with me. Seeing this, the other second-generation ancestors did not dare to let a few women anger Gongzili. They laughed and said, "You mediocre people, if you are fat and vulgar, the palace will look down upon you. That woman Chen Lan also told me that these beauties are the best in the Dark Knight. I don't think so. Call that woman Chen Lan over right away. Is she just fooling us with stuff like this? It doesn't matter if you fool us, but not the young master." "That's right, Master Gong has never seen such a beauty. Go and call her over quickly, we want to ask her questions." Gongzili listened to the words of a group of people, but still sat quietly in that corner without saying a word. There was an aura of alienation all around him. He lay on the sofa with half-closed eyes and stared blankly at the ceiling of the box, as if the world around him had nothing to do with him. Soon, the waiter called Chen Lan, the manager of Dark Knight Streamer's public relations department. Chen Lan first called out respectfully, "Young Master Gong." Then he greeted several other second-generation ancestors next to each other. "Young masters, what are you dissatisfied with?" Chen Lan asked cautiously. "Nonsense, otherwise why would I ask you to come here? Then I don't know how many young masters. Are the women you just called here the highest level here?" Chen Lan was stunned for a moment and glanced cautiously towards Gongzili. After seeing that there was no one around Gongzili, I felt somewhat clearer. When these second-generation ancestors came, she asked her to make arrangements in advance, saying that Gongzili would come tonight, so she should be prepared. Now it seems that the palace prince doesn't like the women she arranged. Those women can indeed be regarded as the finest beauties in the Dark Knight. But if Gongzili doesn't like it, that's normal. For a young master like him, he has seen countless beauties, and his vision is naturally much higher than that of ordinary people. Chen Lan thought for a while and said with a smile, one just came yesterday, and he looks pretty good. Just. That's it, don't grind and chirp. She's just a student girl who comes here to work part-time on weekends. She doesn't drink with me. Student girl. Yes, a serious college student. I am still studying film and television acting. I am just forced to work temporarily because of life, but I want to be a star in the future. In the corner. Gong Zili, who had been silent all this time, glanced at Chen Lan. A second-generation ancestor immediately saw Gong Zili's reaction in his eyes. He smiled and said, "This is good, I want this. Call someone over right away and let's take a look." This, Chen Lan looked a little embarrassed. "Why, no," the second ancestor's face immediately changed. "No, of course. I'll have someone call her over right away." Chen Lan didn't want to offend these second-generation ancestors. These people are not easy to mess with. Especially when there is a palace prince sitting in the corner. This person cannot be offended by the entire dark night flowing light. In less than 10 minutes, a waiter led a little girl in uniform over. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2377. Chapter 2377. These eyes. The little girl walked into the box with her head lowered, looking timid. When she saw Chen Lan, she pursed her lips and called out softly, "Sister Lan, do you have anything to do with me?" "Xiao Su, let me introduce you. This is young Master Chen, this is young Master Lin, and this is young Master Wang." Chen Lan took the little girl's hand and introduced the second-generation ancestors to her one by one. After the introduction, he pulled her to Miyazawa, who was sitting in the corner. Then, his tone suddenly became cautious and he said, "This is the Crown Prince. Please say hello to the Crown Prince." "The Prince of the Palace?" The timid little girl, who had her head buried all the time, raised her head and looked at the man sitting on the sofa with a bit of curiosity in her eyes. Even if the light in the box is dim. But the man's extremely handsome face caught her eye in an instant. The little girl stared blankly at the man's overly handsome face, and for a moment, she was a little bit obsessed with it. Is he, the Crown Prince? That palace prince who is said to have a bad temper and become very scary once angry, and no one dares to offend him? She had heard people talk about him being so scary before, and she thought he was a very scary person. But when he looked at it, it was obviously not scary at all. Not only is it not scary, it's even, very good looking. He is better looking than any man she has seen since she was a child. Even in the school she attended, there were many handsome boys, but there was no one as good looking as him. She felt that even the eldest son of their school was not as good as him. The man's outstanding appearance, as well as his unique superiority and noble temperament, are not what the superficial young boys in her school can have. Susu's heart suddenly beat very fast. She stared at Gong Zili in a daze, entranced, and was suddenly pulled back by Chen Lan beside her. "Xiao Su, what are you doing standing still? Hurry up and call someone." Chen Lan frowned and glanced cautiously at Gong Zili, fearing that Susu's rudeness would offend Gong Zili. Not happy. "Gong, Prince Gong." Susu bit her lip, her eyes flickered a few times, she suppressed her heartbeat that was beating a little too fast, and shouted softly. Her voice was soft. Mong Zili, who was lying motionless on the sofa with his eyes squinted and a cold expression, suddenly opened his eyes. He sat up slowly. Those long, narrow, soft, and cold eyes glanced at Susu. When their eyes fell on the little girl's pretty face, which was still a bit immature, the original carelessness suddenly stopped, and her eyes flashed very quickly. After a moment of surprise. When his eyes fell on Susu's familiar eyes, he stayed there for a few seconds. These eyes. And her voice. Chen Lan was the best at observing words and emotions, and immediately saw that Gong Zili seemed to be somewhat interested in Susu. Her mind quickly changed, and she stretched out her hand to push Susu, then winked at her and said, "Xiao Su, please give me a drink." As Chen Lan spoke, he took a glass of wine from the coffee table and put it into Susu's hand. "Have a good time serving the young master, go quickly." "Sister Lan, I. Susu held the glass of wine, hesitated for a few seconds, and refused in a low voice, "I agreed when I came here. I will only sell the wine, not accompany the wine." "You are stupid." Chen Lan looked at her like a fool. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2378. Chapter 2378. Damn it, Mr. Gong took it. If you get a hold of the Crown Prince, why do you need to sell wine? He will give you something casually, and you will have no worries about food and clothing for the rest of your life. You come here to sell alcohol, isn't it just to raise money for your mother's medical treatment? Didn't you say 2 days ago that your mother needs a sum of money to have an operation as soon as possible? Calculate how much money you can sell in one night. How many bottles of wine do you need to sell to raise the money for the surgery? Don't you want to do the surgery for your mother as soon as possible? Her illness cannot be postponed. Let me put it bluntly, don't wait until you have raised enough money, and then the person will be gone. Then it will be useless for you to regret it. I'm telling you, be smart. There is no shortage of women around the Crown Prince, and he never forces any woman. Women come to him on their own initiative. You just go and have a drink with him to make him happy. Just do it. Do you think you won't be taken advantage of by others if you don't drink with them? If you are like this, even I can't protect you. Take this opportunity." After Chen Lan finished speaking, regardless of whether Susu wanted to or not, she reached out and pushed her back, pushing the person over. Susu was immediately pushed in front of Gong Zili. "It's getting closer." She smelled a nice aroma. As soon as she lowered her head, she met a pair of narrow and beautiful phoenix eyes. The man's deep black eyes had no warmth, and his eyes were indifferent. After taking a look at her, he looked away. But this glance made Susu's heart beat faster. Her face couldn't help but feel hot and red, and she was so nervous that it was a little difficult to breathe. In an instant, she had already thought about what to choose. She held the wine glass in her hand, passed it forward, and said in a trembling voice, "Gong, young master, Susu would like to toast you." Several eyes from around him came over. Just now, Susu lowered her head, and the second-generation ancestors did not see clearly what she looked like. Now that they saw her appearance clearly, several people were stunned for a moment. One second-generation ancestor bumped the other second-generation ancestor next to him with his elbow, and lowered his voice, "Hey, do you think this girl named Susu looks familiar? She seems to have seen her somewhere. It looks familiar, I think I've seen it somewhere before." *CK. One person slapped his thigh suddenly and said with his eyes widened, "I finally know why this girl looks familiar. Doesn't this look like the female star named Xiao Mian? That's the woman from Moyesi. She had an affair with young Master Gong before. Damn it, I remembered it too. Yes, it looks like her. Why does it look familiar to me? Have you noticed that the young master seems to be interested in this girl? She went to propose a toast, but the young master didn't even tell her to get out. Do you think the young lady will accept her glass of wine?" As soon as they finished speaking, they saw that Gong Zili had already accepted the glass of wine. Damn it, the young master took it? I didn't expect Mr. Gong to like this type. No wonder he didn't like the ones before. I said, didn't you think of one thing? What? Why is the young master interested in this little girl? Why, doesn't he like this pure type? Stupid pig. The man named Mr. Chen slapped Mr. Lin on the head. He leaned over and lowered his voice and said, I don't think Mr. Gong likes this type. It's this girl. Must be like Xiao Mian Mian. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2379. Chapter 2379. I learned some terrible secrets. The scandals that were spread before are definitely not groundless. The other two people were shocked. You mean? Master Gong, he may really like that Jiao Mian Mian. Some people said before that the relationship between Master Gong and Mo Yesi broke off because of a woman. Later, the rumor was refuted and said that the rumor was not credible. I think this should not be a rumor. Otherwise, why is this girl who looks like Xiao Mian Mian looked at in a different light by him? Hum. A few people suddenly discovered that they seemed to know some terrible secret. Asterisk. A 5-star hotel. A black Rolls-Royce parked on the street in front of the hotel. The driver got out first, then walked to the back compartment and opened the door. When the people in the back car got out, the driver called out respectfully, "Master Chen. Uncle Zhao, there's no need to wait for me, I'll take a taxi back in a while." "Yes, Master Chen." Xiao Chen got out of the car, straightened the scarf around his neck, and walked up the steps. He had just walked to the hotel door when he suddenly heard several surprising voices coming from behind him. "Xiao Chen, is that you?" Xiao Chen stopped and turned around. When the girls behind him saw him, their eyes lit up, and they all walked towards him quickly with smiles on their faces. "Wow, Xiao Chen, it's really you, I just said that the back looks like you." "Xiao Chen, is that Rolls-Royce your family car just now? Is the guy who pulled the door open for you your driver? That car is so luxurious." Xiao Chen used to be the object of a group of women's crush in school. He is now even more different than he used to be. Everyone in the school knew that Xiao Chen turned out to be the noble young master of the Mo family, but now he was recognized by the Mo family and became a wealthy young master. In the past, just his face made many girls' hearts flutter. Now that he is the young master of the Mo family, it seems that he has been given a layer of golden light, and the girls are even more in love with him. The girls who called him were all classmates in the same class. Seeing Xiao Chen standing in front of them wearing famous brands and elegantly dressed, several of them felt like little deers in their hearts. Xiao Chen seems to be getting more and more handsome. He was very handsome before and was the crush of all the girls in school. He is even more handsome now, so handsome that people dare not look directly at him. Xiao Chen looked at several red-faced female classmates and greeted them one by one with a smile. When he smiled, the faces of the girls suddenly turned redder. At this time, another voice came from behind. Soon, a boy in casual clothes walked up to Xiao Chen, reached out and patted him on the shoulder, and greeted him warmly, "Xiao Chen master, you came quickly enough." "What a young master," Xiao Chen smiled and glared at the boy next to him. "I'm not wrong," the boy, who looked ordinary and kind, said with a smile, "everyone knows that you are the young master of the Mo family. There is nothing wrong with calling you Master Xiao. Don't you think so?" "Okay, don't make fun of me." Xiao Chen stretched out his hand in a gesture of surrender. "When you scream like that, I get goosebumps all over my body. Just do it. Please spare me." Ha ha ha. He made a group of people laugh. Several female classmates looked at him with more eagerness and excitement. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2380. Chapter 2380. I heard that Shen Xian will also come today. Xiao Chen still hasn't changed at all. He is still as kind and gentle to his classmates as before. Him did not become superior or look down on them just because of his current status. So, they still have a chance. Tisk, 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 you girls. I see your eyes are about to fall on Jiao Chen. What's wrong? Jiao Chen is your dear classmate, you pay attention to him, and the others are not your classmates. What the are you doing? Also pay attention to other people. Although I'm not as handsome as your classmate Jiao Chen, and I'm not a wealthy young master, I'm also your dearest monitor, right? The boy couldn't help but joke when he saw several girls staring at Jiao Chen with blushing faces. One sentence. Hey, girls nowadays, are they all so superficial? When I saw the handsome guy, I couldn't take my eyes away. Have been classmates for 4 years, people you see every day, haven't you seen enough? He knew it. As long as he is around Jiao Chen, other boys will become transparent. In the eyes of these girls, they can only see Jiao Chen. Now that Jiao Chen has become the young master of the Mo family, these girls are probably even more obsessed with him. But, he thinks people should be more realistic. If it were Jiao Chen from before, maybe they would still have a chance. Jiao Chen now, things are different than they used to be. He is now a young master from a wealthy family, and the person he will choose in the future will definitely be a daughter of a wealthy family. Anyway, I will definitely not marry an ordinary person. How can there be so many Cinderellas in real life? If he had to say it, the person in the class who is most likely to be with Jiao Chen is Shen Xian. After all, the two have well-matched family backgrounds. But, when Jiao Chen was still an ordinary person, he didn't like Shen Xian and looked down on her. Now that he has become the young master of the Mo family, it is probably impossible for him to consider Shen Xian. Speaking of Shen Xian, the expression on this male classmate's face suddenly became a little subtle. I heard that Shen Xian will also come today. I don't know what Jiao Chen will do when he sees her. He doesn't hate Shen Xian, he thinks Shen Xian is a nice person. Having a good family background, good looks, and good character. When Shen Xian pursued Jiao Chen before, he thought Jiao Chen would definitely agree. Who can handle being chased by such a charming young lady with a lot of money? Several girls were so angry at his teasing that they all raised their fists and punched him. Zhou Xiaodong, your mouth is so annoying, you are talking nonsense. No, don't hit me. Ladies and sisters, I was wrong. Isn't that okay if I am wrong? Zhou Xiaodong was good at running around with his head covered with his hands, and several girls chased him behind him. Sometimes, the happiness of youth is so simple. Jiao Chen looked at the people chasing each other, smiled and shook his head. After a while, another car stopped at the door of the hotel. It is a red Cayenne. Jiao Chen looked towards the Cayenne. His expression was indifferent, as if he just glanced at it inadvertently, but the expectation in his eyes betrayed him. He stared at the Cayenne without blinking. After the car parked, a few seconds later, the car door opened. A man got out of the car. She is a pretty woman, but she is unknown to him. After seeing the people getting out of the car clearly, the light in Jiao Chen's eyes dimmed, and the expectant look quickly disappeared. End of this chapter.